Hello and welcome to Trading Photos. This is CY Entertainment Tonight. I am your host, Paola Palacios. Today we have a special guest. His name is Kevin Brown. Welcome.
Hi. How are you, Paul?
Doing great, thank you. I'm so excited to have you here because Paul is amazing. So he is a New York life insurance agent. And he's also a DJ, so it's the best of both worlds. So I'm very excited to interview you about all that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk about both my hobby and my profession.
So Kevin, you mentioned that you started being a DJ since you were 15 years old, and it was because of your mother and your grandmother. So tell us about that.
Well, actually, it started in the house when I was way before that.
Okay.
It was more of being exposed to various types of music going from the blues to R&B, more of a James Brown sound. And with that sound, there was something there that at a young age, it's something that needed to be built on. It took light. It was more of the James Brown sound in the early 70s and the hip hop movement.
Mm-hmm.
That's when, around 15 years of age, you started piquing the interest in the things that you can actually do to rearrange some of the old school music going back to the 60s, like James Brown, a little bit further sampling the music to create a new sound.
Okay.
That hip hop R&B sound.
That's great. So then at 15 you started just doing all of this stuff.
15, you started getting hands on little bits and pieces of equipment.
Okay.
So the equipment in the household was the old school turntable. When Mama left the house, you found yourself scratching up the records, making sure that you don't get caught if your parents saw what we used to do to their records.
I can imagine, of course.
They were like, what are they doing? Belt, whip, chain, pots and pans. You get the beat down. So with that, it actually created a sound which started out with scratching.
Okay.
And many people saying, excuse me, then people's like, why are they scratching on a record? That's a crazy sound. But it was trying to create a new sound out of an old sound and try to blend a sound into a new sound that was different to the old school beat.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, many people thinking it's all about scratch and but what was actually be trying to do was create a new note.
You're being creative. You're creating something new all the time.
Correct.
And that's what's so impressive about this.
So back in the beginning of the DJ movement, before rapping actually started playing its part to heighten the sound behind the artist, the DJ was trying to create that unique sound. But you heard all the imperfections because the software and the technology was not available at this time. So it was manually done by relatively 2 turntables and a mixer.
So talking about that, right now there's a lot of technology that you can use.
The technology today is awesome, to the point where you can actually be on your telephone and actually mix records from your iTunes library or whatever library you may have, even on Android phones.
Okay.
Most popular that people are using now are the computers or Apple iPads or notebooks in order to create unique sounds.
And you do this on through an app or a system? How do you do it?
Well, before I get into the hardware, they actually built the hardware where you can get physical with it, like the old school DJ, but the turntables are now gone. Now it's a simulation of what a turntable used to be.
Okay.
So you have a deck 1 and a deck 2, which are crossfade mixer, equalizers, and other little toys and gadgets to add more blend into the mix, into the sound. My favorite is the algorithm program opposed to the Serato program because it gives you more of a digital input, more so where you're concentrating on the tools that is available within the algorithm program. What I see with a lot of Serato DJs today, even on YouTube, Facebook, you know, it seems like they're more concentrating on their computer instead of into the art itself. It's like doing all this. I was like, hold up, you know, what are you going to do to the record? You know, are you going to alter it? Are you going to blend it? Or are you going to just look at your computer screen? So understanding the tools in itself that is available today may more than your average household hobby DJ make it seem like I really got some real skills.
Of course. I mean, you do all kinds of stuff. Like, what's the hardest thing about being a DJ? Because I guess we all want to know.
The hardest thing about being a DJ, when somebody say, here, take this record and make it pop.
Okay.
Like one of the hardest records that one of my friends, I'm going to even throw his name out there. His name is Anthony Forster. He'll call me up, yeah, I got this record for you, man. Go blend that. I was like, what I look like to you, your average DJ and stuff like that? I got real work to do. He was like, do something with this. Come on, I know you can do something, do it. I was like, what you want me to do with it? He says, that's your job. He gave me this record by Quincy Jones, Ain't No Corrida. One of the most difficult records that I ever mixed, which...
Why?
Because the arrangement of Ain't No Corrida, basically it says all in one, was the translation. It started out with a more of a pop sound. I believe the artist, one of the artists was James Ingram, female singer, I forgot her name. So it goes into this like pop sound, more like Michael Jackson, you know, something that...
Fun.
It's fun, but it is more for theatrical.
Okay.
But Quincy took his orchestra and just went crazy and just allowed sounds of storms, drums, everything that you can throw into the kitchen sink, which did not create a real organized sound where you can really tune into what is going on in the chaos of the orchestration. So that was one of the most difficult records that I ever attempted to remix. More simpler records these days that you may know of might be like Chic, a little bit before your time, Good Times, you know, things like that are more simple records. But my thing is more of a R&B house type of thing. I'll take that R&B record and infuse it with the house underground sound, which is like, how did he hit that beat in there? Ooh, that's slick. You can actually do that. You actually have to hear the sound to appreciate more so the
really
conversation.
listen to the music. It's like dancing. It's like you have to really feel it. You have to turn into the music in some way.
And when you can look up and you're seeing somebody just losing their mind into a beat that you created or a blend that you formulated that's just got lost into their own world, is the most complimenting thing to an artist.
And how many mixes have you done? Countless, I'm guessing.
Countless.
Yes.
Countless.
Well, what's your favorite thing about DJing? Like, what's your favorite thing about this whole process?
The whole process is taking a hip-hop record and infusing it into a beat that people wouldn't believe that you can rearrange a classic like Planet Rock into a sample where you're able to like pop off samples of a 7 to 10 minute long record.
Oh,
so it's like
have to
taking
elongate it.
condensing it to the point where the sound is like, hey, I know that song, but wow, look what he did with that. I ain't heard nothing like that before. And it's that sound within itself, which starts between my ears, and what comes out of what between my ears, I'm sometimes amazed myself with the help of the tools that are now made available to make it more streamlined focus where it doesn't sound sloppy in the beginning stages of hip-hop DJ mixing scene.
Okay. And where have you played? Like anywhere interesting in New York? Because we are in New York.
Now it's only for family.
Oh, okay. They're the ones that have the private show from you.
Only for family or certain events where persons might say, you think you could DJ for me? I was like, yeah. Can you support my business if I DJ for you? And they was like, well, let's see what we could do. I was like, well, let me see what I can do. I was like, I got the music. And I was like, all I need you to do is just have that credibility in my music and my profession. So I try to blend the two to have fun with the profession and at the same time get out there and meet as many people as possible in many events.
Network with family and friends. And then like that you keep going. I mean,
And
family, they're your #1 fan, right? Am I correct?
More so. And just persons just might come across ironically off of my Facebook page. It's like, oh, what are you, a DJ? You're an engineer? No, it's just a hobby. And people's like, well, you kind of like gifted in that hobby. And I was like, you really think so? You really like that? Here, try that one. And they was like, oh, pretty good. You have more? I was like, maybe you have a client for me?
It's all about networking after all, right?
Of course. I was like, let's have some fun in what we do.
You
Let our
have to
music
love what you
be
do.
the simple, be the symbol of life itself. Because it is music that comes in all genres that is filled in our lives that we've been exposed to since we was babies.
Of course. Do you have a CD where we can hear some of your stuff, a link? Because I'm sure that we all want to hear this, like now that we know you. We want to hear your music, feel it.
I have about 4 up on Facebook.
Okay. What's your link to your Facebook?
Kevin J. Brown at facebook.com or Kevin J. Brown, NewYorkLifeInsurance.com.
Lovely.
Okay, which is interactive in both the personal with my profession.
Okay. You have to make 2 different ones for each, right?
So the first one that I put up, this musical engineer who has a history with WBLS, CD 109, Jazz Station, Kiss FM. He was the first person that actually questioned my hobby. His response, are you a musical engineer? I was like, no, why? He said, do you realize what you did with that song? It's called Drive Incubus.
Okay.
It just happened to be a moment which expressing how many people allow fear to be in the driver's seat and not allow them to accomplish their objectives in life.
Of course, of course.
So with that one song alone, it was like, that was pretty hip what you kind of like did to that song. I was like, well, I'm glad you liked it. It's more of an inspiration since there's all many highs and lows and trials and tribulations that people may be going through. It is something that kind of like just get people to, hang on there. There's certain things that you can do with hope. Let this be inspirational to you.
Of course.
On a real low, mellow scale of a tune that was applied to that particular mix. Perfect. Then I get kind of like off the charts where I would take you left, right, up and down, and the response would be, how did he do that with that song? How did he blend that into that? Where did that sample
How did you
from?
make it be cohesive? Like kind of like putting it together.
It's like writing.
How does he do it?
It's like writing a poem, you know, or a story, it's always going to be your beginning, your middle, and your end. And what comes in between. And to give it a conclusion where it will be like, got more?
Yes. Like we need to hear more.
We need to hear more. What's he going to do now?
So, that's impressive. Like you really, really love what you do. But then you
Correct.
do have another life, which is
Yes.
a life
New York
insurance.
life insurance agent under the
Okay.
development of Sherry Fernandez. She
All
is
right.
my recruiter. She's got me into the business, and I'm still under her development. The only thing that she will not do for me is prospect. And my ongoing training as of today is leading me into more complex learning in what the financial business can offer individuals, from creating financial wealth or just simply putting the basis in place just for a basic retirement.
Okay. And you've been doing it for 15 years.
I've been in the insurance business for
For
15
15
years.
years.
I've been with New York Life. I'm one of the newcomers, up and comings, trying to meet the standard of achievement. I'm on my way, doing pretty well. And the more people that I meet, hopefully they will understand when there is a need, when you think there is not a need, the need can be shown to you in reference to how it will apply effectively presently, and kind of like build more towards your future, and at the same time deal with the inevitable. But at the most important, while we're alive, this is what we can do. And if we can put ourselves in a situation where we can develop a form of protection for our longevity, because
Yeah.
each day is not counted, we have the resources there that is needed when it comes to our children's education, our first home, newborn babies, marriage,
Everything in
everything
life.
that you can imagine, exactly. Everything that you can imagine that we need in place when it comes to having a quality of life.
And why life insurance? Like a lot of people say, why should I have life insurance? Can you tell them why it's so important to
Why
obtain this for your family?
is it important? Because most of all, if something happens to you, and say you per se are the breadwinner, and per se you have children, and you have a husband, and basically the majority of the finances was your income. Now that is gone and it's no longer available, many people's life comes to a screeching halt. And it is sad to say that many people might even entertain a GoFundMe funeral where they are not able to pay for the basic expenses to actually bury a loved one. So if
Yeah.
we take advantage of the opportunity while we are basically at our most with less issues, we can ensure ourselves to provide that protection that is needed within our family structure to fill any gaps or to avoid any gaps or loss when the main income breadwinner is lost in a family.
Okay.
Many people do not understand that same policy can put a child through a college education. And by actually building a savings into a life insurance policy within itself, you know, your child's ready for the first year of college, and your child has the potential to become a physician.
Okay.
Speaking from
How can
experience.
people get a quote from you? Like, do you have a website or can they call you? Can you give us your number?
Yes, I can be reached through my website. I can be reached by telephone. They can call me, ask me questions, and I try not to give quotes over the phone
Okay.
because we don't know if that is the need that will fit your situation. Many people's like, just give me 250,000. I was like, okay, 250,000, all well and good, but why that particular number? Well, how much does it cost? I was like, well, it all depends on your well-being and your health and your age.
Of
So,
course, I mean, it has a lot to do with, I mean, plus you have
correct.
to go through a physical and everything in order to get the right quote.
Exactly.
So what's
For a
the,
person your age, opposed to a person my age,
a little bit different.
well, why would her insurance be a lot cheaper than mine? I was like, because of your age.
Of course, it has like a lot of things to do with it, but it's very important.
Very much so.
Well, how can they reach out to you? Which phone number do you have, or which?
646-399-2520 or at kjbrown01 at ft.newyorklife.com.
Perfect, Kevin. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
I'm honored, and I
Thank you so much
thank
for
you
coming.
for having me here on my hobby.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much. And there you have it, guys. Kevin Brown, and I am Paola Palacios for CY Entertainment Tonight.